First off, congratulations. When did the team find out? Did you let them know, or did guys kind of find out through the news?
No, I told the team about a week ago, and told the recruits probably about a week ago. It's been a moving target for a long time, but I wanted to make sure that they heard first. And the leadership council, as you guys know, I've been talking to them the whole time.
Hey James, what assurances were you given to make you feel confident enough to commit long term?
And I understand this. I'd like to talk about Michigan State, but I get it. I've been putting this off for a while. The reason it was 9 weeks is because it wasn't really about me. That was kind of the first conversation was about me, and the conversation kind of led into these are all the things that we need to discuss, and conversations between Sandy and conversations between the chair of the board, Matt Schuyler. Obviously, with the transition in the president's position, Dr. Barron has been phenomenal, but with the transition in that kind of played into it as well. But a lot of the stuff we talked about that was kind of in my quote, just making sure that we're doing everything we possibly can. The other 364 days to compete with the people that we want to compete with.
James, how much of a relief was it for you and your family and just everybody to finally get that out of the way, so to speak? I know that may be coming across the wrong way, but just to not have to be dealing with us and then everybody else.
Yeah, to be honest with you, that was the biggest thing. It really wasn't the process. The process kind of goes. The hard part was you guys keep asking and me not really be able to answer the questions because it was still lingering out there with some of the details. That was the biggest issue, and because you guys were talking about it and asking about it and writing about it, then there was other conversations that had to happen with recruits and so on and so forth. So I get it, I understand it, but that was really the biggest issue. You know, we want to sit in there and watch film and come up with the game plans and coach the kids. Typically the conversations that I did have with the administration were either early in the morning or late at night, except for my standard weekly meeting with Sandy and Scott. So that's where it becomes a little bit kind of an issue because I don't want it to be a distraction.
Hey James, what did you see as your goals and Penn State's goals regarding the buyouts?
To be honest with you, I wasn't really kind of involved in that. It wasn't really a goal. I don't really have an answer for that, Mike, because I really didn't have kind of a goal going into it. I think what happens is there's kind of standard practice out there that the administration uses, and that the people that handle this contractual type stuff do. But I didn't really have a goal going into it.
James, we didn't see Rasheed Walker during our look at practice.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
There probably, Mike, to answer your question, there probably was a little bit about things tied to timelines on facilities, but this was a model that they felt more comfortable with.
So that would explain the steep and dropping off, so you get a second look a couple years down the road.
That would probably
be
a better question for somebody else, but I don't feel like I don't know if I can necessarily answer that appropriately. Probably a better answer to a question for somebody else. But yeah, I think that played into it.
James, we didn't see Rasheed over with the offensive line today, nor Landon Tengwall. Is it still virus related with Walker? And did they practice today and we just missed it?
Yeah, as you know, I don't get into injuries usually. The guys that have some bumps and bruises, when you guys are here, we kind of take them in and then bring them out. They're doing their rehab or whatever it may be during that time, because we usually put guys in different colored shirts so the guys know, look, they're going to take reps when they can't have contact or whatever it may be. But we do still have some guys fighting through the virus. Some guys, as you know, got it early last week, and some guys ended up getting it late, which made the game problematic, and there's still a few more popping up. We're in a much better position than we were last week, though.
James, you talked about how you have to compete 365 days a year. How does this contract keeping you here longer term impact that and help you guys continue to try to compete with the other Power 5 schools?
To be honest with you, that's what it's all about. That's what the whole contract is about. And I do think you guys have heard me talk for a long time about alignment. Alignment with the board, and specifically the chair of the board, the president of the university, the athletic director, the head coach. You guys have heard me. You guys have been covering Penn State for a long time, and specifically Penn State football. Have heard me talk about that for a long time. So that's what it's all about. It's about alignment and truly competing with the people that we expect to compete with. I also think it's important for you guys, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way. I hope it does not. But I don't really want to answer those questions. I'd love for you guys to do your own studies, because all the information is out there. It's pretty readily available. But again, I understand the question.
What do you love about this place, James?
Well, it's kind of the same thing that I've said before. This is home. I've coached all over the country in every major conference in the NFL as well. I had an opportunity to come back home, which is very unusual. But I'll be honest with you. For me, it's about people, and I'm committed to these kids and the staff and the people that I've gotten to know in the community. I'm very fortunate and blessed. I'm one of the few guys in this profession that my children have a chance to go to the same school from the time they're in elementary school all the way through high school and possibly college. That's very unusual in our profession. And I'm more than just a football coach. I want to be a good dad too, so all those things.
Well, college, you get the discount.
Yeah, if they come here, my daughter is interested in food science, so she's narrowed it down to Penn State and Clemson and Uncle Dabo, which I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that one. I don't know if that's going to go over well in the media, but we've become pretty close with Dabo and his family, and they do have a good food science program. So I may need some help recruiting shoulder.
James, how far away do you think the program is from getting it where you want it to be, and how much closer does this contract get to getting you?
Yeah, again, I think that's obviously you guys talk about those things. I mean, the things that we have done, when you compare our conference, when you talk about New Year's 6 bowl games, when you talk about New Year's 6 wins, when you talk about beating some of the people in this conference that we've beaten that other people haven't, when you talk about a Big Ten championship, and there hasn't been too many other people get Big Ten championships, I think we've done some good things, but obviously there's a next plateau that we have to get to, and I recognize that, and am committed to doing whatever possible to help us get there with the help of a lot of other people that it takes. And that's back to the alignment.
We talked about physical changes around the program a lot. How much do you find the need for philosophical change to be part of the equation as well?
Always. I mean, Ben, I think that's a good question. It's all of it, right? Every aspect of it, we have to get a little bit better. And I think, one of the things we talk about a lot of time is when you're outside of the top 25 and haven't been in, and you're trying to get in, that's a battle and it's hard. And then once you get into the top 25, that is challenging to get up into the top 10. And then once you get up into the top 10, that gap between the top 10 and the top 4 to 5 programs, that's more of a significant gap than any of those other stages we talked about. And then again, to get to that, that national championship. And it's all of it. It's recruiting, it's facilities, it's scheme, it's coaching, it's fundamentals, it's strength and conditioning, it's nutrition, because you can lift all you want, but if you don't have a training table, all those things, it all matters. Sleep, the dormitories, it's everything. If you get 3 or 4 more blue chip recruits a year, over 4 years, that adds up. And then once they get on campus, if you have everything that you need to develop them, those little margins that you're scratching and clawing for, they all add up. And I think you guys know we've been close. We've been really close in some games, We've been really close in terms of getting into the playoffs. Been ranked pretty high at times. We got to be able to sustain it, and that's what this is all about. And I'm glad we could finally talk about some of these things in more detail. I do think sometimes it's better coming from you guys than it is from me. And like I said, all the information is pretty available.
James, we're 3 weeks out from the early signing period. I know you've been reassuring these recruits along the way and their families, but for it to be public and to be official this close, what does it do for you during the final stretch here?
I think it helps. I think you guys know we got a bunch of commits early on and kind of held on to them. And for us, there's maybe a little wiggle room left, but it's really just about getting the guys that we got committed right now signed. Maybe one or two others. So obviously, I think the recruits and their families, again, they've been informed the whole time, whether it's been individual phone calls with recruits and parents, whether it's been group Zoom calls, whether it's been one-on-one meetings in person on campus. Those things have happened, but obviously when it comes out public and there's no more speculation, it helps. It's kind of the cherry on top, final piece.
What would a win on the road at Michigan State to end the regular season do for this team headed into the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, ending the season with a win on the road against Michigan State, a team that's had a good season. Obviously that momentum taking us into the bowl game, then finding a way to get a win there going into the offseason, I think is important. I think somebody asked me a question maybe last week about momentum and how a season ends. Does it matter? I think it all matters. Everything matters. I truly believe that. So yeah, going on the road, getting a win in our conference is always challenging, and obviously against an opponent like Michigan State that's had a great year with a big time running back that's getting Heisman conversation, probably going to get invitation. But that's a challenge.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.